A new Master Duel ban list dropped, and of course we need to talk about the top 5 best decks for Master Duel ranked right now. And stick around because some of these might surprise you. Also, this video is sponsored by Brilliant. If you want to maximize your options as a duelist, you're gonna need knowledge. Brilliant.org is the best way to learn the maths required to excel at card games. Brilliant has thousands of lessons from foundational and advanced math to AI, data science, neural networks, and more, with new lessons added monthly. Continual learning is essential for dueling success, both for staying up to date on the latest techs and keeping mentally sharp. Brilliant makes it easy to build a daily learning habit. To try everything Brilliant has to offer free for a full 30 days, visit brilliant.org/solemn Yugioh or click on the link in the description. The first 200 of you will get 20% off Brilliant's annual premium subscription. Now back to the video. On number 5 of our top 5 best decks, we have a newcomer, Dragon Link. This is just a quick example deck list, but essentially Dragon Link going first puts up some very incredible boards. It has done so for many years now, but what really catapulted it to the next level now, in my opinion, is the release of the Bestials. Bestial, Magnamut, and all of the Bestials are essentially crazy hand traps that really hurt Tearlament, the current actual best deck, spoiler alert. So by being able to counter this archetype with hand traps that now are also dragons that help your archetype, Dragon Link just got a whole lot better. Bestials also have a boss monster, the Bestial Lubellion, which gives you access to the trap card Branded Beast. Branded Beast is a pop every single turn. It can get rid of nasty floodgates, it can get rid of very big threats, and it doesn't really care about Dark Ruler No More or Super Polymerization. Dragon Link also has a lot of room for hand traps, so you can be sure that even going second, you can probably break most boards. While Dragon Link does have its issues, being that it has to run quite a number of bricks, which is why some people like to play this deck at 50 or even 60 cards, kind of like dissolving the bricks while keeping a pretty solid amount of hand traps and engine starters anyway. In my opinion, it did get a whole lot better with the Bestial engine, and moving forward, it will probably stay a pretty solid deck. We also just got a brand new Assault Synchron, which might be a little bit spicy for some Synchro type Dragon Link decks, but more people will have to experiment with this card in the coming weeks. On number 4, we have Branded. Branded did just lose its third copy of Branded Fusion. That really hurts the deck. It is just one more starter out of the deck that we really don't want to see happening. This is why on this list you see right here, I actually added a gold sarcophagus. But with that being said, Branded is still one of the highest ceiling, high power decks in the game. If you want, you can play this at 40, 50 or 60 cards, which also gives you room for a bunch of Bestials to counter Tearlaments even harder. And there's a bonus there because Bestials are also engine pieces for Branded. Bestial Saranir allows you to search Branded cards and dump them to the graveyard to then add them back with Retribution. Bestial Lubellion allows you to search Branded Lost, which is a key card for the Branded strategy. And of course, we cannot forget the new Cartesia support, so we have access to Cartesia, Grand Guignol, and all of the new fusion deployment lines that we previously didn't have. Branded got a lot better. It of course also has the unfair Gimmick Puppet Nightmare lock, or if you want to play Ido to counter Flu, that's fine too. Overall, Branded got a bunch of new cards, and it is just absolutely incredible right now in my opinion. Kashtira is also coming in the near future, and this deck actually has a in-engine counter in the form of Rinbrum, so watch out for that. On number 3, we have my personal favorite deck in Master Duel right now, and that is the Branded Tier Ishizu 60 card pile. However, hot take, I consider this the best deck. The only thing really stopping it is that because it's 60 cards, it is gonna lose to Max C a little more often than other decks. But in terms of ceiling, in terms of consistency, in terms of virtually everything, this deck just beats virtually anything. It has access to the Tearlament engine. It doesn't run Scream or Solic, which of course reduces what it can do in terms of tier cards, but these tier cards do synergize incredibly well with the Branded cards as well. And because it plays the Branded cards, it does not lose to the same cards as regular tier loses to. Think of the Banish Floodgates, think of Dimension Shifter and cards like that, where tier basically needs to pass their turn, Branded actually just plays on. Sharon and the other tier mills can also trigger cards like Despian Tragedy and Bestial Saranir, and that way essentially search the whole Branded engine out and add them to the hand, which is something that's very helpful now that Aluber, Branded Opening, and Branded Fusion are limited to 2. You suddenly have more access to starters, where the regular Branded deck might start feeling like you don't have enough starters versus bricks. Another powerful part for this deck, of course, is also that it can run a bunch of Bestials. In this deck, these Bestials are hand traps to deal with Tearlaments, while they are also just part of the engine. The deck can also break virtually any board thanks to cards like Guardian Chimera and the Edge Imp package, and it is simply gas upon gas upon gas. Once again, its major weakness is that by being a 60 card deck and not having access to Sulik, you can't really play around Max C quite as efficiently as Tearlaments can. On number 2, we have Sprite Melfi with of course a small Bestial package. While Sprite Jet being limited to 2 does kind of hurt, it doesn't really matter because we still have plenty of starters, we still have access to the Swap Frog package, we still have access to the Nimble Angler, the Nimble Beavers, all of the Sprite cards. Sure, our major Sprite cards are now all at 2, Blue, Jet, and Starter, kind of the same as Aluber, Opening, and Branded Fusion, funnily enough, but it still has access to a lot of the power that Sprite plays, it has room for a lot of non-engine, and of course the Melfi engine also makes it so any 2 level 2s create a Melfi of the Forest, which then in our opponent's turn will create a Herald of the Arclight. This Herald of the Arclight, of course, is incredible against Tearlaments because they need to remove this before they can start playing the game. It is also able to make a Avermax, which is something Tearlaments has a tough time dealing with. This is also why a lot of Tearlament decks run Underworld Goddess, even though that card is pretty garbage in any other circumstance. The deck also received Sprite Sprint in the previous booster pack. This allows the deck to make a board with any level 2 and a Bestial going second, beyond of course being an incredible extender on your own turn going first as well. If that wasn't enough, the deck also has access to a combo that adds Max C to their hand, so if it goes uninterrupted, it is probably always winning the game going first. And on number 1, we have of course the deck that has been on this number 1 spot for months now. It is, again, Tearlaments. Tearlaments has had a number of hits throughout these months on Master Duel, but it really doesn't matter. You can take away some of the best cards in the game, but when 80% of this deck is still just the best cards in the game, it really just doesn't have an impact. The deck did get a little more bricky over time as they started taking away our Searchers and Starters, but overall the sheer power and ability to play through anything that Tearlaments has makes it still just the best deck right now. It can also play Bestials itself and steal the opponent's Bestials to then make their own Beatrice, which basically means, hey, thank you for these Bestials, this helped me a lot. I hope I don't need to explain too much as to why Tearlaments is the current best deck right now. I think as long as Kitkalos and a decent amount of Ishizu cards are legal, this deck will remain the very best deck of the format. The only question is gonna be, is this semi-slaughtered Tearlament deck good enough to deal with the coming threat of Kashtira? Tearlament might have beaten Kashtira in YCS Lyon, but can it do the same when it has lost a hand and a foot, and maybe even its kneecaps? Only time will tell, we'll see very soon. That is all for today, hope you found this very interesting. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and be sure to check out Brilliant at the link in the description. I will see you soon. Ciao.